You later. Okay, good morning, good evening, good day from anywhere you're calling from. This is Viva Explorer community where we try to look at um how we can get connected, how we can get engaged and use the technology which is referred to Viva to ensure we arrive at the right time, at the right place, with the right product. Just as you know, this is a community event which will bring everybody with the knowledge of Viva and how we can explore what we can use Viva to do. Now, before then, I like to introduce the topic for this morning, this afternoon, or this evening, which is demystifying the power and the logic of Viva for such capability. I am supposed to be speaking with my colleague Ayodeji Folari, but this morning was not able to meet up or to be able to meet up with the second presentation. So when we talk of demystifying, what does that relate to us? What does that mean? Demystifying is the capability of bringing into segments what Vaviva can do when it comes to searching and also using your collaborative solution to get information, engage your workers, especially front line workers, and ensure that each person participates in the growth of your company. So let me have do a brief introduction of myself before we go right to the topic. My name is Oluwaseyi Oluwawumiju. I'm a consultant at Covenant Technology. I'm an I'm one of Microsoft MVP on Office App and Services. I'm a certified trainer. I'm also a regional lead for Nigeria. I've been consulting for a while. I train and also do some authoring of some books. Like one of my book is how to use Yama 123. It's on Amazon. So with that brief introduction, I'll get right at what we are, why we are here today. How do we demystify the logic behind Vaviva and how to use that to engage our people? But most time, I try to look at the perception of each person when it comes to looking at certain product line. And one of the perception is when you look at, I have two different perception I want you to look at. One is the first picture by the right. How do you relate to images? Now, if you are live now, if you're with me this morning, and I ask you a question, can you tell me whether this young man is looking at you? I know there are diverse people there with diverse answer. Some people perception about this man is that this particular man is actually looking at them, whether whether they are sitting at the right hand side or by the left hand side. There are other people that also think that this guy is looking straight at them from the middle. Some would say he's looking at them from the right. Now, each of us, when we come to the way we relate with certain information, certain degree of action, our perception differ. But when it comes to the build-up of technology, it is very, very critical for us to see how we can use technology as a tool to ensure that we get our businesses to the next level. Now, in the second perception, you find out that we have certain words which are read out, finished files are the result of many years of scientific and research study combined with experience of many years of the subject. Now, I did this with certain group of people, and do you want what shocked me with the various perception I got from it? The perception I got is that why I asked them to count the number of F, write this particular content or word is right before them, and I took it after 30 seconds or 20, I think it's 20 seconds. And some of them said the words that start with F is about 6. Some agreed that word that start with F was about 4. And there are people that agree that word that start with F was about 3. Now the question comes, when it comes to human understanding of things close to them. So many of us over the years have been using Microsoft 365, but how many of us have even gone closer to look at certain aspect of the product that can take the production or probably the efficiency and optimization of your office engagement of information being dispersed among your colleague critical by looking at certain solutions that can make them. So you can see, even when we have everything right before us, our perception might differ. Now, with that let's quickly look at the goal for today. Now, briefly, we have certain goals that which we want to set up, like every runner. If you have been to a race, you notice we have different kind of race. We have the fast lane race, which is the 100 meters, and we have the long range, which is the one we see as most time we refer to it as we refer to it as sorry for that, my slide is running before me, and we have the long range, which is most of time takes a longer time, and it takes resistance, it takes resilience before you can actually win such a race. So in the goal, we are going to set out to look at the concept of search and Viva. And afterward, we're going to look at how to demystify the logic that the search within Viva looks like. And we're quickly going to look at the best practice. And we're going to see how we're going to set up our own environment, especially to utilize the value we have and the logic we can build around Viva by going to be building what we call Viva Topics. Then we give room for question and answer. Now, let's now go right at this and dive in, just like a diver. Now, the concept of search and Viva. What is the concept around search? Now, before we take a leap, we must be able to establish what search usually is. What is search? And for me, I describe search as a means by which we get a balance. Now, before we trickle down into that and see what elaborate power we have in Viva's topic in terms of connecting knowledge, in terms of ensuring that we have certain attribute of topics, certain attribute of statement, certain attribute of information capable of enhancing the way business run within our enterprise or small business or a mid-sized business. We must be able to understand that for technology to be able to achieve, we must look at the digital workspace in this digital era where we have CloudForce, which is the pioneer driver to ensure that we have adequate ability to use the computing power of the cloud. So there should be a balance. And the way the balance can come is when you leverage technology with the people. Now, technology cannot work outside the people. So for us to be able to ensure we see the value of product like Viva, we must also have at the background of our mind that the technology is about everyone that work with you, everyone that is outside, like the frontliner staff that is in the field, like the person in the office, in the industry, in the pharmaceutical store, people that runs about the application in various centers. All these are critical as a building block to ensure that you have a balance of technology. So we are saying for every emphasis, we must know that human needs is what dictates how we build our solution. solution cannot just be by default. Solution should be streamlined to what your company need, what every individual need, what the HRO need in order to understand the way the behavioral pattern of every staff. How do information, what are the critical information within your establishment that need to go and be dispersed across each component of your staffs? Then the human need now translates into how we innovate with technology. And one technology that can enable and enhance such capability within an establishment is Vaviva. Now, once we do that, we now begin to progress. The more we progress, we look at the knowledge part, which is Vaviva knowledge or Vaviva learning. We look at how to do the engagement, which is Vaviva engage, and saturate Vaviva suit that can ensure that we have a better landing. So I'll still dive a little bit more to amplify that human is now the central point in amplifying what we need and how we get it. And that is what each of these applications give us a balance to do. Now let's go back to Vaviva. Now, what are we saying this morning? What is my point this morning? My point this morning is that every organization need a capability to be able to ensure that information gets to them. Now, what is search? Generally, search is a capability by which you can retrieve information. Search is a capability where you can actually ensure that knowledge is shared within a specific collaboration spectrum. Search is a capability that helps you to save time. When we look at generally, traditionally, before the advancement and the evolution of search engine in most of Microsoft product, we know before we can retrieve a content or a document, we go to our file server. From our file server, you navigate to a filter, you begin to filter all those content by topic, by alphabet, in order to streamline to the topic you want. But as search begin to advance, it begins to be relevant that it is important to save time and cost. And that also is embedded in making it very effective to ensure that decision making is done at the right time. So, in nutshell, what are we saying? We are saying for us to be able to ensure proper delivery of a capability that can enhance and optimize the way we work, must be able to have a tool that can drive in retriever, that can ensure knowledge sharing and can save time and ensure senior management can make right decisions. So I want to introduce you Vaviva. Now, we're going to look at the aspect of Vaviva that ensure that it encompasses the way by which we can share knowledge, we can search for knowledge, and that is Viva Topics. And to get Viva Topics, you must have license. There's a trial license out there that you can just put your email and be able to set you up for a 60-day trial. Now, Vaviva is like, I don't know how many of you have been to traditional fishing. Now, I know there's regular fishing where you fish by trying to have your fishing stick and the rope with probably what you want to, the hook you want to use to get the fish. But in most traditional fishermen, what they do is they throw a net. Now, most time when they go to the high sea during the night, they throw the net. And once they throw the net, the capacity at which they acquire this aquatic animal is the capacity of the net and how many of this animal it will be able to capture at the time it's being thrown. Now, Vaviva is more revolved around ensuring that we're having engagement within our establishment, ensuring that we have the capability of improving in which information and communication is being done within our tenant or environment or business units. And also, it improves in training, ensuring embodying and onboarding people to have proper knowledge concerning the company, the concept, the culture, and the communication strategy of the company. Now, having all this embroidered together and binding it together, we can see that Vaviva is not just sitting on just one application. Its tentacle moves like an octopus around application like Team, application like Exchange, our emails in our Exchange system, our SharePoint, which is a collaboration tool for sharing critical component of our content within our establishment with our customer, with our contractors, and also with the powerful tool of AI embedded in Vaviva, you can easily streamline the acronym you want, the content that is necessary, the information that users are using at regular interval to ensure things are there. So the enhancement of this starts and is regulated properly on the search engine that is embedded in Vaviva topic. So what am I saying this morning? In order to have a streamlined version of the way content is properly, in every business scenario, in every case, now for example, let me bring a use case like the hospital setup. Now, I've seen customers that have been having issue in retrieval of information which are critical to them. And those information are regular information that are used consistently. So in order to make this very viable, easy accessible, Vaviva topic can go right into your SharePoint portal if they are using SharePoint, because one of my customers use SharePoint portal to build his enterprise through the hospital context, where they use the doctor, meet with the doctor, get information from SharePoint and from the content about each patient, and they can easily address that. So with Vaviva now, they are able to streamline such topics and such information that is critical by personalizing it to the user, to the patient, and they can easily know the history of what has happened in the past, and they can streamline this history to diagnosing the hospital diagnosing the patient uh, uh, medical issue, and easily giving them or give them proper medical attention. So we can see Vaviva has several tentacles built on collaborating solutions like SharePoint, addressing all the staff within the hospital sector and ensuring that the information gets to the doctor when they're actually seeing the patient. So the search capability is just like someone that is actually standing on a very long stick that can see beyond what is traditionally what he knows. So Viva Topics is built on AI. Now, AI, as we know, what we hear now, the next change that we are seeing, the next truth that we have today when it comes to technology development is the capability of collaborating, piloting with AI to ensure that we land our productive pipeline and land our business decision and land our business development using the power of AI. Now, AI within Vaviva help you to easily search those topics, ensure that those information are regulated, described, and ensure that those topics comes from the site which they are, embodying it with the pages that it comes from, and ensuring that those information get to each staff or customer as the case may be. Now we're going to move further to try to look at what is the logic behind the search in Vaviva. Now, as I said, the power of Vaviva is the capability to work like an octopus. Is angled towards onboardment of staff and increasing their knowledge to training, to learning, ability to make sure that you trickle out the portfolio using AI to get statistics, using AI to ensure you get information that can showcase how and what information is relevant or trending within the business circle within your establishment. Vaviva has been able to also build up capability of sales, especially the combination of the HR capability of what the well-being of your staff, the amount of time, and having the ability to balance out work and life, and ensuring this is statistically driven by insight and can give every staff through the HR eyes to see how the staff is working. Because when you know the well-being of your staff, it's easy for you to be able to know their output in terms of the efficiency they are going to give into the business. Now, how do we now place search? Because one thing about search, and we have seen over the years as search begin to evolve, that the capability of a search is the ability to save your time, to retrieve information, ensure you get the right information from the right topic. So let's now see how we can see Vaviva in that light. What are the logic that Vaviva used to build its own search capability? Just as I mentioned earlier, that when you look at the build up of Vaviva in terms of every suite he has built over that Microsoft have introduced into the business, into the workplace, especially for modern workplace, we see that there are certain criteria that is very, very key in ensuring that we can have a very good search product. One of them is the insight that we get from Vaviva, and that also is trickled and mapped to each user. And the Vaviva search logic can bring that out with the AI capability. We also know that with the connection of knowledge, ensuring that the structure and the information retrieval is easier. You can easily connect knowledge to users. You can easily enhance the way they onboard, and they quickly make resolution about how to deliver certain track portfolio, which is in your company culture or company business entity. Then we have, because one thing about staffing, and one thing about how to build capability in terms of the strength of your establishment, one thing that is critical that we cannot avoid is the capability to build up proper knowledge base. And knowledge base is very irrelevant when the people, the staff, the front line workers, people that ensure that business in your establishment is used properly, does not have knowledge of it. So for every critical business, whether you're a startup, whether you are a mid-range establishment or an enterprise establishment, is very critical for you to engage your staff with proper knowledge, especially trickle down the way they communicate, the way they understand your business, and the way they use the tool that is readily available to them to make things happen. So we also know that learning is also part of the framework. How do I know the course to go? How do I know the key information I'm required? You need to have that engagement along that line. Then we also have information, communication, being able to stay engage at every time, because when you have an engaging environment within your staff, you should be assured that you're going to have an output of almost 65%, if not more. But when you don't have such engagement along that line, you might be finding it difficult to be able to have proper production. So let's now look at the key functionality that make Vaviva different in terms of the search capability. One, the ability to cross carpet. I call it cross carpet. But what I actually mean is being able to search across several storage environments, several repositories, several data sources, which makes it very unique. Ability to trickle into your OneDrive, get those information, trickle into your SharePoint, get any information required, get into your Exchange mailbox, get such information, the engagement you have on team, being able to have all those information at your beckon and call is it advantage within the tenant you are to be able to have information get to your customer, to your user at the right time. Now, also the balance I said between knowledge connection with experts, because in a very, for example, if you have a large establishment, over 2,000 staff across all over the world with a remote sequence in, we know that you can have staffs anywhere, everywhere in the world. And with that, having that in our mind, then we must be able to understand that for us to have proper connection, we need a solution that can bring people. For example, if I'm in Lagos and I need an expert of RBI and I'm in a company that use Vaviva, with Vaviva Topics and the search capability, I can easily search for all those people that have expert within the AI class, and that can feed me properly. I can easily engage with these people to make my particular course of or line of process to easily be streamlined. Then I also need to onboard them for learning. I need to know the proper place to get my knowledge and the likes. So we are now moving to one critical part of the logic that makes Vaviva such very, 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 very juicy, and that is the AI capability. Now, recently, if we have been following Microsoft announcement at Build, several products was announced, and one of the critical turning points is OpenAI, which is not just sitting on Azure, which is the infrastructure of Microsoft cloud technology, but also is built across each of the product line, which Vaviva is not exempted. Showing us now, we are now trying to have AI to co-work with us. Now, when sentence or word like co-pilot is being used, one must understand that a co-pilot is just a pilot assisting the main pilot. Now, every human is still piloting because you are the prompt engineer here. You are the one sitting across your build up and development of your Vaviva search solution. So with the advanced AI capability, you can allow natural language understanding that can be inclusive of what you want to do, things that can easily detect voice, things that can detect the text, etc. You can also have better real-time feedback because AI is because we are an age where we have a generative AI capability, which is brought in by ChatGPT and is being built across most open AI solution that is embedded in co-piloting across most of Microsoft products. Now, with that, the enabling environment to have real-time feedback on what you want, a guided insight to give you what you need to do for the next step, an ability to have insight of what is happening. And Vaviva AI capability also ensure that you have entity recognition, ability to personalize some recommendation for certain staff because it works across most of Microsoft 365, running its tentacle to Microsoft Graph for proper identity identification, and also component like bringing knowledge and connecting knowledge to almost all Microsoft apps and deriving the right information from there. So it's now becoming very, very certain that with Vaviva AI capability, there are several benefits we can get from it. Now, one of the benefits that we cannot right away from is the ability to bring efficiency, especially when you are trying to search for certain content, certain engagement within your enterprise. It also is a place where you have proper knowledge sharing. Now, over the years, knowledge has been one thing that has been truncating, stopping certain business advancement. But when you have a place where knowledge is easily transmitted and shared, then you'd be certain that there's certain growth that will occur in that particular segment. And also, this one of the benefit and impact of Aviva when you deploy it in your environment is to give you a better production. Now, your productivity within not just about the efficiency at the back, at the end of the tunnel, but also about the bit of your employee, how they behave. You can easily search for each behavioral pattern within your establishment. You can see their tendency. You can also try to improve how they work. What are the hours? For example, I might search who has the highest hour of work within last 24 hours. And that means that that person might have not gone home for 2 days or one day. What do I do as HR, as a senior manager? How do I check the well-being of my team member to ensure that they don't have a burnout? Because with the age of remote, burnout is something that's inevitable, and you can stop it by using Viva. Um, get involved with actually trickling out those information, and with the search capability, you can have those information at the right time. Then also, this also help you to analyze each engagement across each of your staff within your establishment. Now, we cannot stop but look at practices that is best looked at when we begin to look at Vaviva. What are the practices that we need to look at? What are ways by which we need to ensure that we have best user interface within our search engine and within our establishment? Now, with this, we we need to take a pause and look at one critical thing about every company, and that's the culture. Now, whether you're a small business or you are a mid-sized business or you are an enterprise business, which make it very critical, you must be able to diverge a way by which you can spell out what you believe, how you want your work to be done, what are the etiquettes that is necessary for your company. So when you are building your Vaviva environment, especially when you are trying to streamline your search engine, it's critical for you to put in place information, for example, onboarding people that are new and they want to go to the Vaviva environment to search for what are things that I need to know as I get on into this company. So the company culture should be right there at their at beck and call to see what you believe and one of the best practice you need to know out when you are building your Vaviva environment is to create a very rich company culture that is visible, engaging, and can easily be used and understood by a company staff, new or old. Another one is how do I govern my information? Now, governance It's now critical to every business. Now we know GDPR that was initiated some time ago, some years back in Europe, brought about a lot of change across several continents, and that is still here because people have right to their information. People need to know what they need to know and need to know, be guided on what they don't need to know. So the governance also help you to build up emphasis on how to trickle down your information, how the search engine will build against having unregulated information. Because with governance in place, it's not easy for a new staff to see the salary of the managers because that must have been taken care of. Even when I search through all the archived information within different endpoint, whether through SharePoint, through your Exchange, or through other applications that have collaborate effort or content being stored in those areas. With the governance, it helps you to build up a that can critically separate what is A and what is B. Then another thing we need to put in place when we are trying to build our environment, especially building your Viva for such capability, you must know that mobility is something that we cannot take off the table. We know several research was carried out in the US some time ago. Out of 5 people, people believe they want to have information anywhere. And that has been the age we have with the cloud power and the supercomputing out there with Azure. We know that it is now impossible to take away the equation that people that are mobile, how do we take care of them? How do we ensure through governance that the information they get on their mobile phones are properly protected? They are not easily being infiltrated or taken out of the proportion of the reality of what is happening there. So in order to ensure that the mobility force is also going to be taken care of. Then another critical best practice is to look at your frontline workers. Now, let me get a pause here. Why do I say the frontline workers? The frontline workers are actually people that are there, out there, because they might not have an email address, but they are critical to some business, especially from sectors like manufacturing sector, where we have very more of these people that work with you. But how do we collaborate with them? How do people internally engage with those kind of people? We need to have solution like Vaviva. And when we build a Vaviva enter solution, we must be able to fill in the gap, the front line workers. How do we get them engaged? How do we build on their phone? So many people have created several practices. Some people, when they come to the office, you allow them to use their phone to scan the QR code or probably the Vaviva video of the senior manager or probably of certain cultural company policy that they have there. And that can consistently make them to be engaged. So in essence, the connectivity of Vaviva go beyond just what you have, but how you can encourage people. Now, we're going to streamline the best practice into certain criteria to make our search more visible. For example, creation of acronyms, ensuring we have bookmarks and topics in order to ensure that people get the right information and topics when they are searching, and prioritize some information. Since governance is put in place, you can actually prioritize some information that can get to certain people and ensuring that engagement within other applications that run with M365 is properly searchable. Now, we quickly, I don't know if there's any question, comment, you can send it to the comment section, and we quickly go into our demo to see how we can relate this in a very quick and fashionable manner, how we can set Vaviva and ensure we use Vaviva for our connection. And before we can do that, we actually need to get into our M365 And from our M365, we look at some key features that we have there. And from that feature, we try to get our engagement and how to sync. So I'll just pull out my environment, and we know the first thing you need to know is you need to have Viva in from you log into your M365 environment, use your admin username and password. Once you get that, you'll be able to get into your admin center. Now, the admin center is a place that we use to be able to set up certain of our criteria and ensuring that our information is properly managed from the console. Now, for Vaviva, we have you go to your setup, and from the setup you now look out for um, connection with um, with um, with content. Now, when you drill down, you look at connect people to knowledge with Viva Topic. Now, this is where we actually help to bring about discovery, ensuring we build certain search capability to make people connect properly. So once I click on the connect environment, it takes me to the setup. Now, before you can get it, you must be licensed for Viva Topic. Now, I think by the count, Viva Topic is about $4 per month if you're using USD, and that might not come with your E5. Some company have it, some you have to get it through your licensing portal. But you go to the billing, from the billing you purchase that and add it as an add-on. So let's connect and see how we are going to get this done. Now, one thing that interests us here is that when we are setting up our Viva topics, we must have this at the back of our mind that we are looking at ways by which we can get people engaged, get them retrieve information properly. So, as I said earlier, you must each user that will have access to the Viva topic must be licensed. So you must go to your active user, look at the license and the app, and add that to it. So let's now look at how we build our Viva topics. So once we have connected to it, we now manage the Viva topics. You click on manage. Now, when you click on manage, it takes you to certain things that is required for the setup. One of them is the discovery. The discovery. Now, the discovery is where you set up certain endpoint by which information will be discovered and collected. So you can see when I edit this, it takes me to certain criteria that is required. One, if I have several SharePoint farm, I can allow Viva to search through all the farm, or I can select certain farm I want Viva to be able to get those information, and this is where governance come. Or I can upload certain templates, which is CSV information that determined by the certain site I want users to be able to have. I can also select certain sites and upload those information there. Or I might decide that I don't want my Viva to be able to have a discovery of any of my SharePoint endpoints. But for me, I want everything to be done on all my sites. Then once I've done that, I move ahead. I can exclude certain topics also if I want to ensure that certain topics is not visible, and those are critical things that is necessary, especially for governance, to make sure that those information that get to people are information that is required by them. I can edit that, but let's just leave it at that. Let's click on the advanced setting. Advanced setting now trickle it down to more of this governance capability. maybe there's some restricted information, like here, I want general unemployed to have certain information. I want confidential information labeled on certain information to get to certain people, especially from finance, and some confidential information about each of the staff that need not to be searched out, get out there. Or probably if I have a particular project I'm looking at and it's highly confidential. So this helped me to suggest how those information is retrieved and is properly maintained across my enterprise. Let's just leave it at that. And we move on to, because of our time, to how visible we want this topic to be. So on the topic visibility, we try to look at areas by which we want people to be able to see this information, how they want them to get this information, at what means do you want. So when you edit this, just as we did, it takes us to either you want all our information on our SharePoint to be seen or to be accessible by everyone organization, or we want to restrict people, and certain security groups should have certain information, certain people should not have certain information. At discretion of the company, you might actually determine how visible this information get to peer. For me, I will let everyone see what I just did, and I'll go back. I don't need to make a change. Then from the advanced, you can also suggest topic by prompting certain information that is required. We build Viva Topics, which is search capability on AI. And because it's built on AI, it's necessary for you to have prompting, giving guidance to know how the content is being going to be visible to your customer. So let's just leave this at default. Now we go to the topic permission. Now, it is very, 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 very important at this stage to set up groups and ensure that each of these groups, you manage the information and ensure they have the permission to do that. So when you want to create or edit a topic, who can do that? Do you want anyone in your staff, in your organization, to see a topic and be able to edit it and be able to modify it? Or you just want selected people, maybe admin, to be able, or you want to restrict it to just yourself? So sometimes we look at security vis-a-vis complexity, vis-a-vis flexibility. And most time we just have to take decision at that point on how we want this to be viewed and how those particular topic to be taken. So let's just leave it as default. We go to the topic center. Now, we have established the fact that we can create permission across people that can prompt or be able to suggest topic. And that is very critical, because when it comes to adoption, you must be able to create a program around how people see information, use information, and adapt to those information. Now, the next thing we need to now set up is to look at the topic centers. Now, each topic centers require a name, which is critical to how you want to manage it. You might also have the center as an address, which is online. If I click on edit a topic, you have to give it a name. I call this one Viva Explorer, Africa, Viva West Africa, or something. Then I save it. So I've already created a topic, and those topic can also be according to, you can see, it shows that I have a center where I want to dump all my topics where people can easily have access. Then You can have topic center, which also drive you out to particular certain link. If you have a SharePoint portal, you want people to be able to have access to it. You log in and you have that done. So because of our time, I'll quickly look at other means by which you can have uh, the experience, analyze after you have set this up. Uh, you need to explore what you have by actually being guided through the insight. So with the few minutes I have, I think my time is up. But I'll just quickly take us to the analytic area of getting this. I'll just go to my M365. I look at my setting. Where are you setting? That's it right here. Now on my setting, I look at search and intelligence. And from search and intelligence, I look at the insight tab right here. And the insight tab, I would like to look at citing uh, um, things. I don't know whether it has come up now because I need to look at this insight. I don't know whether Viva has come up. I just created it. It takes some few minutes and you'll be able to see some analysis. Okay, that's it. Topics. So I'm not sure whether we can have information yet, but it helped. Oh, good. Now it has discovered 84 topic visible. Created by users. It also tells me how many sites I have, the size that I do have here. So in nutshell, we can actually get here and begin to get all those topics on, uh, emphasize on certain criteria in which discovery can be made, how visible it can be, and that also ensure we have a proper power. So with this, I'm getting to the end of in conclusion, Vaviva help you to integrate experience across your user platform, especially to empower them, engage them, connect them, and easily bring growth across each of your enterprise by allowing engagement, allowing amplification by connection, gaining insight of what you have, like the size of file that is there, the topics that is required, the governance required to make those topics sync properly at the proper time, and also align the purpose and the culture of your company to your growth. And that trickled across almost all M365 environments. Now, we also have Aviva Sale, which is a role that can allow you to be able to do certain sale criteria. I don't know if there's any question for me, Sarah.
I can't see any.
Come to the end of I was looking at my time, and I think I was able to get there top of the time.
Very, very well timed indeed. Yes. Thank you very much. Very interesting session. I really enjoyed that. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. So the journey begin now. Start exploring it and get to use Vaviva. Yeah. So thank everyone, and I see you in the next section. Thank you.